Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge. I'm Chris Bishop. Now this week we have an entrepreneur with offices in Kenya, South Africa, Brazil and India with a turnover of nearly $6 million a year. It has come from a fairly humble beginning, a BCom at Rhodes and a lot of hard work. This is the story of David Sand, the CEO of Uwin Iwin, a company that does everything from events to incentive travel. He's also a board member for the Youth Employment Index. More of that later in the show, but meantime, welcome David. So you went to college and you went to work for 20 years, I understand, in the mining, various industries. Why did you decide to go to work first before becoming an entrepreneur?
Well, I mean, from Rhodes University, Chris, I did a couple of years in corporate, and I think that was good grounding. You find out how things are done, how budgets are approved, who you have to make happy, the corporate politics, and that's essential for the kind of work that we do in dealing with those guys.
And when came the switch? When did you decide you wanted to be your own boss?
Well, it was an interesting story. The business that I was in was downsizing quite dramatically, and as the human resource officer, I was right in the middle of it. Trade unions and management, and it became quite a depressing thing, retrenching people. And I wanted to use my skills to be far more positive in the workplace and make a difference. And that's why I do what I do, because I want to make changes that are positive for people in workplaces.
And just a little bit about what you actually do, how you've made your money.
Well, effectively, it's a service company that helps big corporates inspire people. So the name Uwin Iwin really comes from creating a winning situation for you, the company, by inspiring the individuals, by creating winning opportunities for individuals in those businesses.
I mean, in physical terms, I mean, what would you say? You know, that's my business. I mean, what does it look like? I mean, is it conferences? Is it
no. Conferences and incentive travel is a small part of it. So incentive travel really is about designing a competitive format for people in businesses, predominantly salespeople and channel people, to work towards winning an incentive trip to somewhere exotic in the world. And then the top 50 guys and girls that qualify then go and have a marvelous time, and that's their trophy reward. So we do that.
And this is a growing thing now. I mean, a lot of people in business settle for a bonus at the end of the year. I mean, is this a growing thing, wanting to go on holiday somewhere instead?
Well, it has had its ups and downs. With the recession, that kind of incentive program's taken a huge knock. The other kind of incentive program that we run is more like a frequent flyer program, where people earn points for their performance at work. So based on their key performance objectives at work, they get allocated a point currency. And once they've got enough in their points bank account, they can transact those points for prizes. And we have a huge catalog of online prizes that people can swap their points for prizes. So unlike loyalty, where you're earning points for spending, here you're earning points for that extra mile work effort that you put in. And on the basis of that, then you can reward yourself with a whole lot of your own choice.
It sounds like a very nice business, but what are the difficulties in the business?
Well, we're dealing with corporates all the time. So these guys are well skilled in negotiating. In South Africa, of course, we have the BE landscape to navigate, and of course a very, very high-end service requirement. And there are a lot of players in our business that compete with us, which drives us up, innovation and quality standards all the time.
How much is competition growing in this time?
Well, it's a fragmented type of marketplace, because of course the travel agents in South Africa believe that they can do incentive programs, but really what they can do is fulfillment of the prize. The real skill in the type of business that we have is all about the the management consulting that goes in beforehand. So how to set up the ideal incentive program, how to make sure it's communicated properly, and that's why we look more like an ad agency than a travel agency. As you can, yeah.
And where do you get your ideas from? I mean, when you're looking around, everyone has to keep changing, keep up to date. Where do you look for inspiration?
Well, I belong to a professional association, and those have international conferences where the latest thought leaderships from all corners of the world are showcased. So I attend those conferences, listen very carefully, pick out ideas that I like, adapt them to the African environment, and then implement them.
And again, a lot of people in your business, are they out there doing that sort of thing? Is it that competitive?
Yeah, sure. We have in South Africa a local chapter of that association which has about 40 members.
Okay, so you're out there, but if you can get it right, I mean, how lucrative can it be once you get it right, this kind of a business? There's a lot of people out there, you understand, are watching, thinking how they can come in and get some of it.
Well, you know, I'm not going to make as much money as a merchant banker or a land developer, but it's the kind of business that, and I think any entrepreneurial business, you have to be passionate about what you do and not chase the money. The money will follow if you are passionate and you apply what you know at a highly professional level.
And what do you love about being an entrepreneur? What do you love about it?
I love the freedom of being my own boss. Early on in the corporate world, I knew that I wasn't going to survive very long because I have a little bit of a maverick tendency in my heart. So, but it comes with a lot of pros and cons. And there were some times in my career that 20 years of being an entrepreneur, that I've thought, wow, if only I'd hung in, got my share options, got the big bonuses and the corporate car and all those things. So yeah.
Well, that brings me to my next question. What do you hate about being an entrepreneur?
Well, I don't think there's anything I hate, but you know, the challenges of cash flow management, you know, taking decisions and risk taking, sometimes quite stressful. Yeah, and when it's your bank balance and your back pocket that has to fund certain things, that's challenging.
So you mentioned risk there. I mean, were you ever at a point where you were staring at the wall, worrying about a phone call from the bank? Just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, certainly when the global financial crisis hit us, you know, some of our clients cut their spend on incentives as deep as 70% to 0% spend. So we had, in that particular year, 70% hit on our top line, which necessitated an immediate reduction in staff. And I had to find funding from my bond and all sorts of things to really survive that.
Tough times.
Yeah, very tough.
And it's ironic, it seems that you were in human resources before, where you had to lay people off and they were staring down the barrel with your own company.
Yes.
Must have been very stressful. But aside from being an entrepreneur, you're also a board member of the Youth Employment Index, which is a big talking point these days.
Yes.
At the World Economic Forum the other week, a lot of people were saying that this is one of the biggest challenges that will ever face this continent. The fact that there's a huge amount of youth out there with nothing to do and nothing to look forward to. What are the trends you're seeing in this index? What sort of things are you seeing?
Well, it's early days in the index because we only really launched it about a month ago now. But certainly from all the statistics in South Africa, this is a crisis. Nelson Mandela was famous for saying that youth are the future of our country, and the matters facing the youth are urgent. And I think if we don't address what is happening to our youth, and especially in the job creation environment, we are sitting with a ticking time bomb. And I'm passionate about this because from my human resource background, but also I have two sons that are coming through the schooling system that I would like to see as a legacy that I leave behind for them. Not only a good business, but an environment and a corporate place that is creating jobs and is caring about creating jobs for youth.
And what about this theory that entrepreneurs and entrepreneurism is the answer to this unemployment problem, creating jobs for people? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think entrepreneurial businesses do create significant amount of jobs, and especially for the youth segment. But it's not only, that's one part of the solution. I think big businesses have a huge role to play in addressing the youth issue. And I believe that corporate leaders have shied away from this issue because it's been mainly in the political and trade union arena and education arena. And corporates have not really taken it on with any serious intent as yet. And the Youth Employment Index hopes to stimulate that debate, hopes to get corporate CEOs to say, come on, this is an issue. Here's a tool for self-assessment, and here's a tool that we can create some goals around. If we know where we are and where we want to go, that's the basic formula for moving ahead.
You've been on both sides of the fence. You were a human resources person working for a big company. Now you're your own boss, employing other people. What's your theory? What's your answer to it? And what would you say from your experience?
Well, I think if you want to achieve anything, you have to have focus and an intent. You have to know where you are currently and where you want to go. And once you know those parameters and then can apply some energy, human energy to it, you can resolve almost anything. So really the YEI is that framework. It's saying to corporates, let's understand where we're at with the Youth Employment Initiative. Where do we want to go as corporates and entrepreneurs? And let's start putting some energy into the problem and resolving the problem of youth unemployment in South Africa from a corporate perspective. And let's make some serious strides forward.